On July 4th, 1776, the Second Continental Congress unanimously adopted the Declaration of Independence at the Pennsylvania State House, barely 22 miles from where we are now. Like our nation, the Penllyn Club has a rich history that reaches back that far, and I'd like to take you all on a brief trip back in time to revisit our past. You too, Olivia. Turn and look to the smallest part of our clubhouse closest to the driveway. This is the oldest part of the mansion and was likely the original homestead dating back to the mid-1700s. Records show that the Folk family owned 2 mansions in Penllyn back then. One of them was this property named Sycamore Farms. It wasn't clear if Levi Folk was responsible for building the rest of the mansion as we see it now, or only the eastern end, but the mansion once had a cornerstone, dated 1786. It remained in the Folk family for 3 generations, acting as a stop on the Underground Railroad until the property was sold to Daniel C. Wharton in 1865. On the evening of September 17, 1897, a group of neighbors met at the residence of J. Waln Vaux at the nearby corner of Penllyn Pike and Gypsy Hill Road to discuss the formation of a club. 2 individuals were chosen as president and secretary-treasurer and constituted the first board of governors. With that, the Penllyn Club was born. After the meeting, a portion of the Wharton estate, our current club, was leased at a rent of $200 a year. According to the records, beer and ale were always available, and during the early days, whiskey. Drinks were tallied on paper, just as they are today. In June of 1900, the Penllyn Club was officially chartered in Montgomery County for the purpose of social enjoyment and the encouragement of cricket, golf, tennis, and other athletic sports. Almost immediately in 1897, 5 golf links were planned to be built and were completed in 1900, but golf at the club did not last. In 1902, the course was abandoned and returned to the cows. The club forged ahead, raising funds, and in February of 1903, the club secured this location by purchasing the property for $6,400. With the demise of golf, the clubmen turned their sights to polo, and a considerable sum was raised from a special fund to create a polo field. Polo began at Penllyn around 1901 and became a big part of this club. A swimming pool was a radical idea back in 1905, as there were no pools in the neighborhood of Philadelphia. A charge for a swim and towel was 10 cents, and that charge remained the same for decades. The pool was the same length as the current pool, but only half as wide, fed by a weak flow of well water that took many days to fill. Without the benefit of modern pool chemicals, the water could become dark green with nothing visible below 3 inches. In 1926, a children's pool was added. We've certainly come a long way. I'll mention some things that have come and gone. In the years before the First World War, the Penllyn Club had a baseball team. Games with teams chosen from members and guests were a feature on 4th of July morning. In the 1920s, trap shooting was popular at various clubs around Philadelphia, and Penllyn installed its own clay pigeon trap, an activity that lasted for about 5 years and expired. I guess our new guys wouldn't be too excited with that. Hunt meets and mounted paper chases of 8 or more miles with hounds and mounts were popular with men, women, and children. At the end of the 20s, with the arrival of automobiles and aeronautics, there was a period of great activity on the polo field with gliders. Over here on the right, picture a Model T Ford pulling a glider that would be launched several hundred feet into the air. Watching these takeoffs and landings caused great excitement. In spite of the Depression, the decade of the 30s was the polo decade and the height of polo activity at the club. Unfortunately for polo, the effects of the Second World War and the rising generation of men not exposed to horses and stables brought about the end of polo at the club. In 1945, an effort to revive that was unsuccessful. After the war, if we fast forward through the last 70 years from the post-war boom to today, our rapidly evolving culture brought about many changes in our lives. Despite these changes, it's fortunate for us that the Penllyn Club has managed to resist losing sight of Mr. Henry Drayton's ideal, an agreeable neighborhood social club of friends of all ages. We can all be grateful that this ideal has been maintained and we can still enjoy the visual reminders of the past, the continuity of the mansion remaining much the same as it was 200 years ago, the giant sycamores. And now the pool is delightfully clean and clear, the tennis is better than ever. And on a quiet summer evening, we can just sit and enjoy the sunset. Our assets have improved, but the essence of Penllyn remains delightfully unchanged and is something worth celebrating.